Heinemann Higher, Chapter 7 of Polynomials, the mixed exercise 7k at the end. Question 8, the first of a few questions on finding approximate roots to equations. Here we've got a cubic equation which has got a root somewhere between 1 and 2, but it's not an exact one. You'll have to find it by homing in by a process of iteration. Well, first of all, I'm going to give this expression a name. Just call that f of x. That way, instead of saying the value at x equals this is and so on, I'll just say f of whatever. So, what's the value at 1 and what's the value at 2? I'm not going to spell out all the bits and pieces because I'm going to be doing that over and over again. I'm just going to be using my calculator. So I'm just going to be using the answer button to put down an answer formula for that. So it'll be answer cubed minus 4, answer squared plus 5. And then it's just a case of 1. Answer 2. Answer negative 3. So that was the first bit. What that says is, if you think of the x's, at 1 and at 2, what did you get? At 1, the answer was 2, and at 2, the answer was negative 3, which means that somewhere between them, it crossed the x-axis. So the first bit which says, show it's got a root between 1 and 2, well, I'd say this. F of 1 is greater than 0, and f of 2 is less than 0, which means that there's a root between 1 and 2. So that'd be the first bit. Then we just go a bit further, so we try and estimate where it would be. Now, normally we would have tried 1.5, but look at this, maybe I'm going to try 1.4 next. So it's just a case of homing it in. Now the question says get it correct to 2 decimal places. Now to get it correct, since it's 1 point something, to get it correct to 2 decimal places, I'd have to have it, say it was 1.4 something, I'd have to sort out the 2 consecutive second decimal places and then find the halfway one to finally narrow between the two. So I'm going to have to get down to 2 consecutive 2 decimal place figures, where one's above and one's below, so I know the root lies between them. So I'm just going to try 1.4. And I get negative 0.096. So at 1.4 I'm still below, so I'm going to move closer to that. I'm going to go like, if it's between 1 and 1.4, we'll try it in a little bit from there. So I'll try 1.3. And I get 0.437. Now I know it's between 1.4 and 1.3. So it's going to be 1.3 something or other. So I've sorted it as far as that. Well, the natural thing to try after that would be 1.35, for instance. What happens at 1.35? You've got 0.170 and so on. All that matters really, it's still positive. So it's between 1.35 and 1.34. And you've got 0.010, etc. It's getting closer to 0. So it's between 1.38, and there's the next negative there, and 1.4. So we'll try 1.39. And it's negative 0.0427. Now that means I've hit up here. It's somewhere between these two, and they're already to 2 decimal places. So what that's saying is, at 1.38, the answer was positive. At 1.39, the answer was negative, so it's somewhere between the two. It just depends where it's going to cross now to see which it's closer to. So the obvious one to try would be 1.385. And that turns out to be negative 0.016. But the important thing is, at the midpoint, it's still negative, which means that it was crossing closer to 1.38, which means that the root is going to be 1.38 correct to 2 decimal